Hi there. You're watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. I'm Mike Morales here in soggy San Antonio. That gentleman out there is
Rick Levy in soggy Escondido.
Yeah, well, the humidity is climbing here, folks. But anyway, Rick and I have had the unusual distinction of taking a look at Adictivo. You may have seen this brand. It's extremely popular right now. It's probably one of the hottest brands on the market. An award winner in several different shows and categories from WSWA, San Diego World Spirits. Anyway, we had to nominate it for Brand of Promise just in the bottling and the packaging alone, because it is very elegant. And you know what, Rick? And here's the other thing. I know that we're holding the 375 versions, but
Yeah.
it feels really good. It's got a great hand feel, doesn't it? The twist.
Yeah, well, I actually have I have one of the larger ones here too. It's an older bottle. It's one of the originals. It has the sharp corners on the top shoulder.
Okay.
On the 750s now, the shoulders are much more rounded off.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a very heavy bottle, very substantial. You can you could defend your home with this thing.
It's very bartender friendly. Anyway, we actually enjoyed. I was very pleasantly surprised, both of us, in the Blanco Suave. Now, here's the interesting thing: the importer, Staller Imports, was nice enough to send us a deck, the marketing deck for Adictivo, and on the marketing deck, it does not say that the Blanco is aged for a few weeks in French oak, but on the website, Rick assures us that that's exactly what it says. So, and I agree. I think we noticed that there was a slight off color on the Blanco, which you might be able to catch here on my lighting, and that would denote that it's been aged at least for a little while in a French oak barrel. And if you know anything about French oak, you know that it really influences the flavor of and the color of any tequila, just about anything. It seems to be their favorite barrel to use. So
yeah, and I think I would venture to guess to say that these are previously used for red wine.
Yeah, as we're going through the age expressions, I think we'll notice more and more a little bit of the dryness. I think that I've experienced from tequilas aged in wine barrels, for me anyway. But we're gonna taste and smell the Reposado now. What do we know for how long is it being aged?
Eight months in French oak.
8 months. Wow. So it gestates for 8 months.
Yeah.
Did I say gestates?
Certainly did.
I'm using my Stossel Jarrito for basically for mezcal. I like this one a little bit better. It's a beautiful color, I gotta say, man.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Nice legs and tears.
It's really coating the glass.
Yes. I don't know if you can see that here, but
yeah, the pearls are hanging for a long time before the tears form, and the tears are extremely slow.
And very thick too. You notice how thick they are?
Yeah. And with the plata, we noticed the plata, was substantial in its viscosity as well.
Yeah. Well, it did have an interesting mouthfeel. We could get, both the agave influences as well as the French oak influences. I thought it was pretty well balanced. I was very surprisingly impressed. Okay, this is really sweet on the nose, though. Sweet, and then there's a little bit of alcohol too. I don't know if you're getting any of that, but
yeah, I think I can detect it underneath. It's well hidden though.
This almost has a character of some of the extra añejos that you and I have had. You know,
Yeah,
there's like a dried fruit quality on the nose.
yeah, it's that kind of sweetness and sort of fullness of barrel aromas.
Wow.
But I think I can still pick out some of the agave there.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's almost it's faint. It's faint now.
Yeah, it's not primary to the aroma profile. Now,
Um,
for the Reposado on their website, they're saying that, yeah, for the aroma, they're saying wood and cooked agave.
that's about
The
right.
wood's the wood's definitely there. The
Yeah.
you can find the cooked agave. It's subservient to the wood, probably.
Yes. Oh, that's very dominatrix of you.
What's your safety word, Mike?
Apple. uh, well, let's dive in. Let's just, here's looking at you.
Yeah, that is. It's thick and sweet. Um, you definitely notice it right off the top. It's not. It's. I would say it's thick and sweet in a bold way, but not necessarily not to the point of being repulsive.
Yeah, no, not repulsive yet, folks. We here at Tequila Aficionado, we really do try to give everybody a fair chance. I'm going to do something interesting. I don't know if you've ever seen me do this. You might have, where I pour
Use it as cologne.
Yeah, I use it as cologne. I'm going to use it as aftershave. I'm actually, people think that all we do is tequila taste, but a lot of times you have to literally pour some in your hands, diffuse the alcohol, and then smell your hands. That's what we when we do these tastings, we don't wear cologne or strong perfumes or wash our hands with really strong smelling soap, so we can get some what's going on in the wood. I'm getting wood and okay, very little glycerin. I will say that there's some glycerin. I'm not sure if that's happening naturally from the French oak barrel. It's not a lot. My hands aren't super sticky, but it's definitely there, and it's wood. I mean, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting barrel. I just wanted to try that because I know that you and I have had some really varying and sometimes disconcerting experiences with this line and this family. So, other than just a slight stickiness, not a whole lot. I mean, if they're using it at all, it might just be coming from the distillation or the barrel itself. Honestly, it's probably sweeter than what I would. And you and I had. It reminds me a lot of Torres Real. Torres Real, we had you and I had the Repo and the Añejo, and we found it more on the sweeter end of the spectrum. And again, not that that's a bad thing. It's just probably a lot sweeter than I would normally. This is probably as engaged as I would get, I think, with a tequila that kind of leans toward the sweet side of the spectrum. I don't know about you. Maybe you would venture a little further.
Yeah. No, I think we're already kind of like in añejo territory.
I get a lot of the fruitiness. The maybe not leaning. How do I call?
Starting to get a little bit of cherry on the nose.
Yeah, it's. Are we getting fresh cherry or dried fruit? But it reminds me a lot. The nose has that extra añejo quality that you and I have had in several other extra añejos, where you just know off the top that it's over 3 years old and it's been probably longer. But it's not necessarily in a French oak. And I think is it just me, or is the influence of the French oak just really beginning to dominate the tequila?
Oh yeah, certainly the wood is dominating here in the Reposado. like the aroma, the agave is more secondary. There's short pepper on the palate. Um, the the finish, I think it's safe to say the finish is fairly short. I do have a little bit of the flavor still on my palate.
Yeah, me too.
Not a lot going on in, the back of the palate.
Well, I just got a little bit of the bitterness, and without even drinking any, it's just what's residue, what's left over on my palate. It felt like a bitter chocolate or a cocoa or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
Not
like what?
necessarily, not necessarily tobacco because I'm not getting any of that. It's just way too
Yeah,
sweet.
and that's a very common characteristic from French oak.
Yeah. What's our verdict? What do you think? I mean, okay, let's look at the price.
Well, something. Okay, you want the price points?
Yeah, let's price
Right
points.
now, I think for the Reposado 750 bottle, I think the pricing is $55. But you can get it at High Time Wine online for 50 and Old Town Tequila for 44.
Oh, well, at those prices, again, is this something that you would, you know, is this a good tequila to wean people off of the overly sweet ones? Because
Yeah, yeah. Like the point I made with the Plata, if you're looking, for an entry point to bring in someone new to draw them into tequila and help them explore, this is certainly a way to do it. If you have a whiskey or a bourbon drinker, you could bring them to this Reposado possibly and draw them in. You could make, you could mix this in a Latin Manhattan. It's right in that spot of, the kind of barrel aged sweetness.
so for Rick and myself, this is in our sweet spot, and we probably wouldn't. I know I probably wouldn't go any sweeter than this for me.
Yeah, if you're an agave aficionado, and really an aficionado more on the purist side that wants to see how the agave can express itself, then this probably isn't for you. But if you have a friend that's really into something like Clase Azul and you want to try to broaden their horizons, you could bring them to this, and it would be a very simple transition for them and to help them explore.
From what we know on both the distillery numbers, whether it's for the 1560, is that what we were looking at?
1560, yes.
Yeah. Remember, folks, there are two distilleries. There's probably old stock and new stock. Okay. Old bottles are having the sharper edges. The newer bottles have more rounded edges. These are, of course, the 375s. But just be aware that there are two different NOM numbers for now until all the stock has been depleted. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say that this one's a Brand of Promise nominee. I think in the Reposado category, it's probably as far out as I'll venture myself. But I do agree. Neither one of these distilleries, as far as we know, have diffusers. So, as evidenced by the Blanco, the characteristics of the agave were still there. And Senor Partida, who is the agavero, the agave grower, and they make, they show, if you follow them on Instagram or you follow them on Facebook, you'll see Gildardo in the middle of the fields, and they're very proud of their fields. I mean, if they're using their own agave, it stands to reason that that they would be very proud of that and be using that as opposed to the other reputed distilleries that we mentioned that do have diffusers and are just using the barrels to hide, to influence your vodka. So,
Yeah. But then, there's only so much we can infer by the NOM number as well, because per the normas, the NOM number indicates where it was bottled.
right.
They don't have to,
They don't
say
have
that that's where it was produced.
exactly. Even though the labels will say produced and bottled, you'll see that on many of these brands. But technically speaking, the NOM number is basically where it's been bottled, not always necessarily where it's been produced. And the normas also allow for distilleries to buy Blanco in bulk, 100% agave Blanco from each other. Okay, um, not anything aged. So if they're buying anything from anybody, they're buying the Blanco first, because then they take it to their laboratories or they put it in their barrels. And if it's the right flavor profile, they work at it to make it so the consistency is there. And that's some agave learning for you guys, okay? Because you probably weren't aware that that's what's going on. And yeah, the normas allow for that to happen. But again, I think
we are noting the family influence here.
yeah,
In terms of the profile, it's
yeah,
still in that area. It's one of the more nicely done
yes.
versions in that profile range.
Yeah, I agree. I think I have had others that were older, and not even from this distillery, just others on the market that were in añejos and extra añejos that I couldn't stand. This is tolerable, and again, well, it's tolerable in a way for me,
Yeah,
because
so once you've after when you
sweetness.
get to the point where you've reviewed a couple of hundred tequilas and you become really infatuated with the agave itself, and so you become more of a snob about the agave, more of a purist, and it's a smaller community, and we're here to educate, we want to help people expand,
Sure.
but there is a huge market out there for the sweeter profiles.
Yep.
And, that's what this is going for. It's, looking to serve those people. And I think, if I had to recommend a tequila with a sweeter profile, I wouldn't have a problem pointing someone towards this.
Yeah, I think they're consistent. That's the other thing too. I think people are beginning to know the name of the Partida name in many circles and many contests. These people have huge booths wherever you see them. Go out and say hi to them, meet them. They're very outgoing. Gildardo is always in front of his brand, and I think people have come to expect a certain style from the family, and this won't let you down.
Yeah.
Sure.
At Puerto de Hierro as well, NUM 1477, they are all set up for tourists and for doing events. You could have a wedding there.
Oh yeah.
They've got a beautiful setup there. Some nice tasting rooms, I believe.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh yeah, that's right. They have I think they call it the castle, the Castillo.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, that's our take on the Adictivo Reposado. We'll be back shortly. If you watch and listen to us on, on YouTube and all of our channels too, not just YouTube, but pretty soon on Amazon Prime, you'll be watching this beautiful face out there of this gentleman right there. What's your name again?
Rick Levy.
And Rick is in San Diego County, Escondido. I am Mike Morales here in San Antonio. You've been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media everywhere. Just follow us on pick a platform. We are there. And whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.